Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches, which are happening on Sunday, January 1st, 2023, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. Also, check out our perks and join the High Stakes membership. Joining the High Stakes membership is easy, is cheap, but it will help a lot in the growth process of this channel. Plus check out our Patreon in the link down below if you want access for our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Going back to our picks, make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comment section below. It's easy to say that there is no way Tom Brady will lose a game to clinch the division against the Panthers. But this is about more than Tom Brady. The Buccaneers have consistently struggled and are 1-7-1 against the spread in their last 9 home games. Over the last 3 games, Carolina is second in the NFL running for 188 yards per game and should have success against the Tampa Bay defense, which is 17th, allowing 4.6 rushing yards per game over their last 3 games and 21st, giving up 4.5 yards per carry on the season. The Panthers have covered the spread in 4 straight division games and are playing well with Sam Darnold running the offense. I have to back them getting points here. Our team pick is Carolina Panthers plus 4 points. The Tampa Bay offense has been a mess of late, with point totals like 19, 7, 17 and 16 over the last few weeks. But even with those numbers, 2 of their last 3 games have gone over. Their defense is doing enough to let the opponents to the total if their offense won't be doing much. Carolina has had 3 straight overs heading into this game, with all of those games eclipsing the total on this game. 4 of the last 6 times these teams have met, the game has gone over. Both teams have some injury issues with their defenses, which will open things up. It's also supposed to be a perfect Tampa Bay day with temps in the low 70s and the sun peeking out from behind the clouds throughout. Our second pick is over 40.5 points. Washington Commanders vs Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are currently in last place in the AFC North as they trail the Cincinnati Bengals by 5 games as they are playing for pride. On offense, they are scoring 21.5 points per game and they are averaging 355.1 total yards. This is the 14th most points scored and the 10th most yards average per game. Deshaun Watson will start at quarterback as he has thrown for 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in his first 4 starts. The Browns are also throwing for 207.7 passing yards per game, which is the 22nd most in the NFL. Amari Cooper is the leading receiver for Cleveland as he has caught 73 passes for 1,004 yards and 7 touchdowns. The Browns have also shown that they can consistently run the rock. They are averaging 147.3 rushing yards per game, which is the 5th most in the entire league. Nick Chubb is the lead back as he has recorded 1,344 yards and 12 touchdowns this season. The Washington Commanders are currently in last place in the NFC East as they are 5.5 games back from the first place Philadelphia Eagles. On offense, they will be starting Carson Wentz at quarterback as they will be benching Taylor Heineke in this one. The Commanders are throwing for 212.7 passing yards per game, which is the 19th most in the league. Wentz will look to get the ball to Terry McLaurin as he leads the team with 1,092 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. They are also scoring 19 points per game and averaging 336.4 total yards, which is the 24th most points scored and the 19th most total yards. Washington has also shown that it can efficiently move the ball on the ground. Brian Robinson Jr. has been carrying the load as of late as he leads the team with 710 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. The Commanders are also running for 123.7 yards per game, which is the 13th most in the NFL. On defense, the Commanders have shown that they are tough to beat. They are allowing 20.9 points per game and 313 total yards. This is the 12th least amount of points allowed per game and the 4th least amount of yards. Their secondary has been very strong as they are only surrendering 198.6 passing yards per game. This is the 7th least in the league as they have shown that they can cover on the outside. Washington has also shown that they are solid against the run. They are only allowing 114.4 rushing yards per game, which is the 13th least. They have consistently clogged the middle and stopped the run, which will be a challenge against Nick Chubb. Jamin Davis continues to lead the way on the defensive side of the field as he has recorded 63 tackles and 3 sacks this season. last week, he had 8 total tackles against the Niners. I am going to roll with the home team in this matchup, and I am going to lay the points, -2. Carson Wentz will be starting at quarterback, and I see him providing a spark that will allow them to score enough points to cover this spread. Washington has struggled to move the ball through the air with Heineke, but I see Wentz being a better passer when he is healthy. Washington is also running for the 13th most rush yards per game, as they can efficiently move the ball on the ground. The Browns' front seven has continued to struggle, as they won't be able to stop the Commanders' offensive attack. This will allow them to efficiently score and slowly pull away. The Browns are also allowing the 21st most points per game and the 16th most total yards. They will struggle to stay in this game, as the Commanders will come out playing for their playoff lives. Cleveland also looked horrible against the Saints in their snowy game last week, and Watson hasn't impressed me to start the year. Our first pick is the Washington Commanders and lay the points, -2. The Browns had high expectations entering this season, but failed to live up to any of them, as they fell out of playoff contention with a 17-10 home loss to the New Orleans Saints last weekend. Cleveland is guaranteed a losing season in coach Kevin Stefanski's third year. They did not have Desi and Watson for 11 weeks, but even when on the field they lacked any chemistry. He is expected to start Sunday, but just like Washington, Cleveland will look to establish the run game early and often. They are 5th in the NFL in rushing, and with both clubs running the ball 60% of the time, this game will go well under the projected 40.5 number. Washington has allowed the 11th most rushing yards, but they have struggled over the last 3 weeks, notably against the 49ers. The total has gone under in 5 straight for the Browns. Our second pick is under 40.5 points. Philadelphia Eagles vs New Orleans Saints. New Orleans heads into this game with a win-or-bust mentality, as it needs a win to keep its playoff hopes alive. The Saints have to win their final 2 games and need Tampa Bay to lose its final 2 games in order to make the postseason. They have been able to keep their slim hopes alive with consecutive wins over Atlanta and Cleveland this month, erasing a 10-3 deficit in their 17-10 win at Cleveland last week. Quarterback Andy Dalton finished 8 of 15 for 92 yards, no touchdowns and an interception in the win. Running back Alvin Kamara had 76 rushing yards and a touchdown, while Taysom Hill had 56 yards and a score on 9 carries. Philadelphia was unable to go unbeaten during its 3-game road trip in December, losing to Dallas in a 40-34 final last week after beating the Giants and Bears. The Eagles are still the top team in the NFC entering this week, needing 1 win in the final 2 weeks to secure the number 1 seed in the postseason. They would have a chance to rest their starters in the regular season finale with a win on Sunday as well. Philadelphia was without star quarterback Jalen Hurts' shoulder in the loss to Dallas, and he is questionable to return on Sunday. He emerged as an MVP candidate this season with 3,472 passing yards and 35 touchdowns before spraining his shoulder in a win at Chicago. Backup quarterback Gardner Minshew completed 24 of 40 passes for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns in his first start of the campaign. However, he also threw 2 interceptions and lost a fumble as well, so there was a drop-off without Hurts on the field. Philadelphia has been one of the league's best defensive teams this season, ranked 3rd in yards per game, 397.3. The Eagles are facing a New Orleans defense that is number 9, giving up 322.4 yards per contest. Running back Miles Sanders plays a huge role in the Philadelphia offense, racking up 1,175 yards and 11 touchdowns, averaging 4.9 yards per carry. Wide receivers A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith have each gone over 1,000 receiving yards this season. While Philadelphia has been the best team in the NFL this season, the Eagles have not been particularly profitable in the betting market. They have only covered the spread 8 times in their 15 games, and I have some concerns about them this week. Hurts' availability is obviously a major one, but motivation is another one. The Eagles know that they can still wrap up the top seed in the NFC next week, so they could choose to treat this as a quasi-bye week, knowing that they would have the first week of the postseason off. New Orleans has to win to keep its slim playoff hopes alive, so the Saints are going to be fully motivated for this matchup. They have the rushing attack and defense to make this an ugly game, which is exactly what I want when backing a road underdog. Our team pick is New Orleans plus 5.5 points. On defense, the Saints are ranked 9th in the league in yards allowed per game with 322.4. Their 190.4 average yards against through the air is second in the league to the Eagles, but they are 12th worst in the league in rushing defense with 132.0 rushing yards against per game. Their 21.7 points against per contest is middle of the pack compared to the rest of the league. Demario Davis is the leading tackler on the Saints with 94 tackles, and Tyrann Mathieu has a team-high 58 solo tackles. Davis is also the sack leader for New Orleans with 6.5 sacks, and he was voted into the Pro Bowl this season. Alontae Taylor has the most passes defended on the squad with 11, and Matthew has the most interceptions with 2. It was already a slim chance they beat the Eagles and keep their playoff hopes alive, but the injuries to key players for the Saints might be the nail in the coffin. Chris Olave is doubtful with a hamstring issue, Kamara is questionable with a quadricep injury, and safety Justin Evans is questionable with a shoulder problem, just to name a few. It will be a miracle if the Saints somehow come out on top this week. Despite the potent Eagles offense, I am going to take the under in this matchup. I don't have any trust that the Saints will be effective on offense, considering they have put up an average of 11 points in their last 4 games. Philadelphia's pass rush will feast on the offensive line for New Orleans, and the Eagles will run the ball as much as they can with Minshew at QB. I expect slower and more methodical drives from Philadelphia, which will ultimately kill time off the clock. The Eagles have hit the under in 6 of their last 7 January games and 5 of their last 6 Week 17 matches. The Saints have hit the under in their last 4 consecutive games and their past 4 in a row on the road. Our second pick is take the under, 42.5 points.